All right, welcome back. As you probably saw during the commercial break, without audio though, but we were having a ball here. This is Canada Conversations, where we introduce you for the second time to those outstanding Guamanians, the neighbors of yours. You're probably even related to many of them, and they are seeking your endorsement in the upcoming general election. That's, of course, on November 8th, and they want to honorably and nobly serve you as senators in the forthcoming 37th Guam legislature. So we welcome back to a very, very crowded KUM couch. A lot of experience on the couch right now. The person who finished number 2, second to only the Speaker of the Legislature herself.
Thank you, Jay.
Daryl Christopher Barnett. I can never get used to saying Daryl.
I don't like saying that I finished second to the Speaker. I like saying that I was the top male finisher by the grace of the people of Guam.
There you go. Well, congratulations. That was very impressive.
Yes, awesome.
And also, someone who I am struggling, Mana Silva, Marianne Silva Taijeron.
Well, you know, we have to use our legal names.
That's
now.
right, Marianne.
So we're finding out all these things.
Okay, Mana, having been a previous senator, did you find yourself having to like almost literally reintroduce yourself to like people with your legal name?
No, not necessarily. Because it's on the sign, and people will still know me as Mana. And fortunately, we're able to put our known common names, our pet names, what do you call them? The nicknames on the ballot.
So pet names work too.
So people will...
Nenny boy over here.
I don't know, my pet names could be on a sign though.
Yeah, so not necessarily. I mean, there are a lot of people who are surprised that my name is Marianne. And so
it's a lovely name.
Thank you.
Well, we also have Attorney Tom Fisher, who a lot of people know him as Tom. Most people do not know you by your God-given name, Thomas.
Thomas Joseph Joseph Fisher.
Very nice.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
2 very, very nice names, too.
It's a fine name. I'm number 9.
Yeah, and I've seen you actually, Tom, right here on the corner here in Harmon. You must have like the most wonderful ranchero hat when you wave on the side of the road. That is a wonderful ranch hat.
Yeah, well, you need them. You need them.
Especially these days. It's been hot or cold.
Well, when we were doing those waves down there, it was pouring. Yeah. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, I do want to mention that that Tom and Mana both finished on the Democrat side of the ballot, 5th and 6th.
Republican.
Republican, but beg your pardon. Sorry.
It's okay.
If you guys want to like get up and storm off because I screwed up, you know, I won't blame you. But yeah, 5th and 6th, very, very respectable finishes. I want to talk about like, you know, strategy and, you know, campaign going forward in just a moment. But we'll go down the line, starting with Chris. And Chris, that's your camera right there. I don't think I have to indoctrinate you into how this works. But you have 60 seconds to tell people, maybe even thank them for their support.
Okay, right. Definitely the primary election results. I want to say I was surprised, but the whole time that I've been on the campaign trail, and I ran a really hands-on, feet on the ground kind of campaign. I just went around and I said, I just want to meet as many people as I can and ask them what they want me to do, and if I'm lucky enough to get into the legislature. And I think it really worked. You know, a couple weeks before the primary, when I was out there pounding the pavement, I really try and meet up with a lot of Manomco, and they were telling me, they're like, boy, don't worry, we got you. And so I wasn't worrying, but the night before the primary, I kind of had this thought like, wow, what if they say this to all the candidates? But I felt...
Oh, you say that to all the boys.
I know. I felt that it was very genuine, and I think the results really showed. I think the people of Guam spoke very loudly. In fact, I'd say they almost screamed that they want a little malfunction in the next legislature. It was very humbling.
Oh, very good. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Very, very impressive. All right, Mana, you have 60 seconds, and that's your camera right there.
Well, I'm Marianne Silva Taijeron, Mana Silva Taijeron, as you probably know me better. I'm running for a seat in the 37th Guam Legislature. I served previously in the 31st Guam Legislature, but also served at the Guam Economic Development Authority for several years, where I did a lot of work geared toward economic development, inviting new investments into Guam. I'd like to continue that work and see if we can build our industries here on Guam, get more people back into work, and just grow Guam. And get Guam to where it was before.
Outstanding. Well,
and I worked with these individuals as well, and the communications, the media side, as well as at Gita. He was our attorney there, and we worked and accomplished a lot of good things.
Okay, I do have one quick question for you, Mana. When it does come to waving, because Chris talked about his waving strategy, and I've seen you, and you know, many cars have slowed down in drive time traffic just to say hi. Do you find it's better to like wave on one side of the road to oncoming traffic and then go to the other side maybe like an hour later?
Yeah,
or do you use what I call like the Frank Logan Jr. technique, and you're like, good morning,
Yeah,
and you know, you do the 180?
Wave at everybody.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Take all comers, right?
There's some tough intersections out there because you could be traffic cars coming at you from all directions. So you really got to be spry and loose out there.
There you go.
Yeah, and
Four-way intersections work
The key
too,
thing
right?
is to try and move away from actually intersections that stop, because then you're going to be waving at the same people as they're stopped in traffic. And it gets uncomfortable.
That's funny.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
where you wave where it's fluid, like these guys have been
yeah.
doing, I mean, it just makes it so much easier. You're waving to everybody past.
So you also go for volume.
Yeah.
Make
Very,
eye
very
contact
nice.
too, I think
There
is
you go.
another good one.
All right, Tom, there's your camera once again, and you have 60 seconds if you please.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Thomas Joseph Fisher. I'm number 9 on the ballot. I'm running for a seat in the 37th legislature, just like my colleagues here. I can definitely agree with what you're saying about waving where there's traffic is stopped. There is the longest traffic light out here at that four-way stop. That is just ridiculous. That light goes on for like 2 minutes, and you're just staring at me.
Well, by the time they're done, you actually know their family. You got on a first name basis. and-
Roll
Just
down
ask
the
for a
window
little
and-
donation.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Carry around a boot, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, as I said, I am running for a seat in the 37th Guam legislature, and I'm looking forward to it if the people of Guam will extend to me that privilege. There's a lot of work to be done. Just this morning, we were down testifying in front of the legislature about this Bill 333-33 for marijuana edibles. And, there's big turnout down there, and there's a lot of, I really admire the fact that senators got right to work on that to fix an error in that bill. And that's something we all need to do. We need to look at the laws that are getting passed. We need to see how the money is getting spent. We need to perform oversight. And that's one of the reasons I want to join the legislature, is because I want to keep my eye on the ball. And I'm sure Chris and Mana would join me in that.
That's an interesting perspective, Tom, because a lot of your contemporaries have said, they want to produce new laws and introduce new concepts to fix Guam's problems. You actually want to go back to existing public policy and say, are any laws that are currently on the books in need of revision?
Well, the
Interesting.
perfect example this morning, about the marijuana law, and it's certainly not the only one. There was an ambiguity that was imported into the law by the Department of Public Health and Social Services. I don't want to get out in the weeds, but I think that they were mistaken, and the Attorney General's even stepped up and said, yeah, no, we're not real sure about this, but let's fix the law. And that's what they're doing right now. I'm not a big fan of fixing things that are not broken. So I don't intend to, it's not publish or perish out here. We need to use and create good laws to help people.
For sure.
And
with the
fix the
cannabis-
ones that are in
With
error.
the cannabis, the rules and regs, I'm not sure how they got this far with some of the glaring errors and some of the things I think make them unimplementable. I mean, we had a cannabis control board, we had a whole legislature looking at this thing, and
Yeah.
but I think it's really a disservice to a lot of the entrepreneurs that are standing by and ready to cash in on cannabis, that they're being held hostage by a government that has once again proven that it's kind of incompetent when it comes to moving big picture
It's-
items.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so-
a-
well, tell you what, let's let Mana weigh in on this, since you gentlemen brought this up and everything. Your thoughts on, because of course your work at GITA was looking for new revenue streams, new ways that Guam can expand its economic footprint and everything like that. So what are some of your thoughts on having legal cannabis and making that like its own industry?
I think it's a great opportunity for us. I mean, especially in the tourism aspect, it's going to draw a whole new niche of travelers and visitors who will come here not just for the medicinal but for the recreational portion. So I think there's a huge business opportunity here for our locals, especially because they're the ones who want to grow it from ground up. I mean, they're the homegrown business individuals. As I've heard it discussed in the public hearing this morning, it was very interesting because there's so much interest and so much support for the industry. Contrary to what we were hearing when it was first introduced, there were so many naysayers. It's never going to work. The visitors won't come. The markets are going to just downturn. But it's quite the opposite is what I believe is going to happen.
Okay, well, thanks, guys. All right, I want to get to some of the issues right now, and we'll start with Chris, and each of you has a minute to respond to this. Chris, now a topic that certainly is near and dear to your heart all the way back to when you were on the radio. When you drive around the island, you're noticing these days more and more homeless and at a terrifying escalating rate. How do you actually plan to address, if you are elected as one of the 15, to directly attack and solve, hopefully, the homeless situation?
a tough issue, Jason, because it seems like the more we try and address the issue of homelessness, the worse it gets. I mean, we've got a homeless coalition. We're paying a lot of people a lot of money to tackle this issue. But, you know, when you drive around, like I said, it seems like it's getting worse. I mean, every other week I pass by an intersection, I see a new person out there asking for money. I see people who are being imported into our island. So we actually, if you go out and you talk to some of these homeless people, which is something that I've actually done, a lot of them are getting one-way tickets to Guam. So I know one of my friends, Henry's out here. He's always asking for money, always looking for work. He was out in Jersey, and so I think he had run into some trouble, and basically the judge had given him a one-way ticket to Guam. So when we talk about solving homelessness, I think we first need to kind of figure out who is really homeless and who is out there just wanting to live on the streets. Because when you talk to a lot of these people, I hate to say it, some of them want to be on the streets because it's a lucrative way. We're a very generous people, and a lot of them are making more money in a day than they would at a job.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So to Mana Silva Taijeron now for your question. I'd like this, especially your input being a woman, being a parent too. There is obviously a notable shortage of OBGYNs here on the island. What steps, I should say, need to be done to ensure proper staffing for the safety of mothers and their babies?
Well, you know, the key thing is we have to make sure that we have a facility that they're going to work out of that is a professional, fully stocked, resourceful facility. I mean, we're inviting doctors to come and work here, and our hospital's falling apart. And how do you entice them to come and work in an environment that's not suitable for their profession? So I think the key thing is we're going to have to revisit or take a real close look at the hospital facility, our medical capabilities, and our ability to provide quality health care, and then invite doctors to come here. We could do it simultaneously, but we have to give them the promise that we're going to actually work to give them the resources and the tools they need to do their job 100%.
All right, very well. All right, Tom, over to you. This is your first election as a candidate for senator, but you've been involved. I mean, this is not your first rodeo by any stretch of the imagination. No. You've been involved in, like, you and I actually sat next to each other a couple of years ago when the elections were being tallied over at UOG. So
several times at 4 in the morning.
Yeah. So you're very, very intimately familiar with the process, right? For whatever reason this year, there's a drastically low turnout with young people.
Yeah.
Overall, the turnout was like 40%. What do you just estimate are the reasons for the low voter turnout, and what needs to be done to improve that?
Well, I think this election cycle was a little bit different. I mean, on the Republican side, there wasn't a huge draw with the gubernatorial contest, so that was a
foregone
little bit
conclusion,
of it, right? And then also it was held on a Saturday, and I thought about that all during election day. You know, people are out there, they're cleaning their yards, they finish doing that, they take a shower, they sit in the backyard, have a beer, and it's like, hey honey, let's go vote. No, come on, I think it's better to inject these elections in a work day. I honestly do, because people are up and moving and motivated and being citizens. So I think that might be an issue. I can't say for sure. But if you will, Jason, I wanted to address a little bit of what Chris was saying about the homeless problem. When you allowed me to introduce myself, I said that I wasn't, a person that really wanted to, just go out and make laws for the publish or perish. And you asked that question, why do we have more homeless people? That is the question. Why? How can we fix a problem if we don't know what's causing the problem?
Root cause analysis, basically.
Yeah, there's drug use, I'm sure. The economic downturn on Guam, which is just a catastrophe. Mental health issues. We need to find out why these people are homeless. And it may be, as Chris said, that some people just choose that as a lifestyle, but I don't think that people are choosing that as a lifestyle largely. I think that it's just catastrophes happening family-wide. And when I say drug problems, I don't mean somebody's just out there smoking ice. I mean the entire fabric seems to be getting worn thin. So my answer, following up to Chris, would be, let's find out why we have the homeless, and let's formulate what our answers will be. Let's not just throw things against the wall and hope for the best.
Right. Yeah, and Jay, I mean, people are homeless for a variety of reasons. I mean, I know we all saw in the story in the papers a couple weeks ago, elderly couple couldn't afford to pay their rent.
Yeah.
So when I talk about people who are really homeless, I'm not talking about those people. Obviously, our people are struggling, trying to make ends meet. The cost of living here is leading a lot of people to I mean, dark situations where they're turning to drugs, they're turning to crime to try and escape it. And so there's definitely people I feel who are struggling that we need to assist. But then there's also those people who are choosing to live a life on the streets because it's convenient. And I believe that a lot of those people pose a danger to our island. I mean, working here at KUAM, the business next door, they lock their door in broad daylight during hours that they're open because they're scared of homeless people coming by, arguing, trying to come into the store to start stuff. So it's a really complex issue, but I think if we bring all the stakeholders together and really talk about it and have an honest dialogue about it, I think that's the point that we can.
Okay, let's wrap up by going to Mana with your thoughts on homelessness before we go to commercial break.
Well, you know, a key thing is we have to make sure that there's affordable housing. A lot of our, I met a couple that were staying under the Bank of Guam awning a couple of weeks ago, and they were waiting to go have an opportunity to visit their children who were in foster care. Now, the woman was employed, her husband was employed, he lost his job in the pandemic, and then they ended up homeless. Because they were homeless, couldn't afford their rent, she lost her job. She was working in the food industry. And so they're just living in Agana waiting for an opportunity to see their children. So, I mean, we need to address the shortfall of affordable housing. I think there's a way that, I mean, we've done it before. We offer incentives to developers to build these affordable houses that can be used by these families who are in need.
Right, I mean, that's a huge issue.
Okay, well, Tom, Tom, I can give you 20 seconds, but we got to wrap up. Yeah.
Real quickly, when I came to Guam 30-some years ago, you didn't see this homeless situation. Today, you do. And to me, that indicates that something's happening with the social fabric. And I think a lot of it is attributable to crystal methamphetamine. Families are just being brutalized by this
Absolutely
drug.
true. All right, good thoughts, guys. We'll tell you what, we are going to take a real quick commercial break. And when we come back here on Candidate Conversations, your community thoughts and our lightning round, where we find out about the personality of Chris Barnett, Silva Taijeron, and Tom Fisher.
Viva!
Welcome back, everybody. The conversation continues with the candidates, hence the name of the segment, Candidate Conversations. Hey, see what we did there? Yeah.
Good.
College educated. All right, so we are being joined by Chris Barnett, Silva Taijeron, and attorney Tom Fisher, who are seeking your endorsement as they run for the 37th Guam legislature. Really, really working the pavement. Some amazing thoughts so far on some very, very tough island issues. So I thank each one of you again for giving us some of your time. We are going to go to our video question right now, and this was sent to us by a gentleman over right next to us at the Compadres Mall. Nice. This is Enzo.
My name is Enzo and I work here at the Compadres. So my question is, what are your plans to reduce the crime here on island? Because there's a lot of people here on island, I believe, in my opinion, that forcing themselves to get a firearms license because they feel like they're not safe anymore. So what is your plan about that, and how would you reduce the crime here on island?
All right, Enzo, fantastic question. Again, right over there at Compadres Mall, a friend of ours. So we'll go to Chris Barnett first. What are your plans to reduce crime? You've stood on this hill, not just in the campaign season, but for a lot of time.
Crystal methamphetamine. I think so much of our crime is, the root cause of it is an unchecked crystal methamphetamine epidemic. I mean, I've gone around and I've talked to hundreds of people and I ask them, hey, what's the biggest issue affecting you and your family? And they say the drugs and the crime. And so I think our government has shown that a multi-agency task force, like, I'm going to say the M word here, like the Mandania Drug Task Force, it worked. And, in the late 1990s, when crystal methamphetamine first reared its ugly head on our island shores, we had what was called the war on ice. Now here, fast forward 25 years later, the crystal methamphetamine epidemic is, I want to say, 20, 30 times worse. We don't have anything in place in terms of a multi-agency task force. And I think so one of the things that I want to do is to make it so that we put something like that in place, but we put it in place in law so that it's not subject to the whim of a governor coming in and saying, I don't like what that governor did. Let's throw it to the trash heap. I think we've got to do that. We've also got to address and assess through oversight exactly where this crystal methamphetamine is coming in. And not only where is it coming in, but where is it going after it comes in? Because we're seizing a lot at the borders, but what we're not doing, and what I think a lot of people are not happy with, is we're not going after the bad guy drug dealers. So I want to increase penalties for people who want to threaten our women and children and harm them. I want to increase penalties for drug dealers. And I think we also need to toughen penalties for criminal sexual conduct. And I think that's how you send a tough message, because right now the criminals on this island are very brave. They're doing things in broad daylight, and our people definitely deserve better, and we need improvements.
So you're you're saying crime is very, very tough, and you want to be equally as tough. I mean, you're not screwing around with this.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to go after this.
I mean, tough on crime. I spoke at the Rotary Club, and I gave this kind of same talk, and they said, "Hey, where'd you learn how to talk like a Republican?" But I don't think that it's a partisan issue. I think that we're so far behind in catching up and locking up and stopping these bad guys that we really need to take drastic measures to kind of course correct for the safety of our families.
All right, good thoughts, Chris. All right, Mana, I know that if I may, your husband is in law enforcement,
Yes,
so I
yes.
mean, you have these conversations both professionally and in the home and
Yeah,
everything, and
and
this is something that you care very, very strongly about.
Law enforcement runs deep into our blood, and I want to say that I support our law enforcement. We need to bolster their resources and make sure they have everything they need, again, to do what their jobs to 100%. But I definitely, that was a great question. I support gun ownership. Citizens need to take control and maintain their safety at all times, and guard your houses. I was a victim of crime myself. I was going to check my mailbox at 5 o'clock in the morning right before my run, and my car was broken into. I came out in time to see the guy getting out of my car. Fortunately, there was nothing stolen, no one was hurt.
Thank goodness.
But it was a frightening thing because, you feel violated at that point, and it just brought into mind, our safety is not what it was before. Many years ago, we could just run on the streets, go into the store, and not think twice about, somebody touching you or hurting you, or grabbing your purse or anything. So definitely, we need more support for our law enforcement agencies, as well as even the community. The mayors need support so that they can do these village watch programs.
Excellent
and
point.
really get the community involved, because I think if you see something, you say something, and everybody's involved in that movement, our communities will be much, much safer.
And also, again, because of your work with Gita, I mean, there is a very strong correlation. You don't have to dive into the data to see between how much businesses thrive and the amount of crime that's going on.
And
here.
in our little neighborhood, I live in Kenyatta, Barragata. Our neighborhood is really close. I mean, we communicate with each other. We all have each other's phone numbers. If we see something that's off, we give each other a call, send each other a WhatsApp, and say, hey, there's some suspicious car that's strolling around. So, I mean, if everybody's involved in that kind of activity, it just goes a long way.
Okay. Well, sorry, Chris. Let me go to Tom, though. But Tom, this is a very multidimensional question, because it's about crime, the impacts that crime has on the community, the right to keep and bear arms, and as a lawyer, these are things that incredibly well and everything like that. So your thoughts on how you will actually get in now as a policymaker potentially and reduce crime?
Well, I echo everything that Mana and Chris just said, particularly about the crystal methamphetamine. People keep beating on this drum about the crystal methamphetamine, and the reason that we're beating on that drum is this isn't just a problem. This isn't just a situation where there's a lot of shoplifting going on. This is an actual emergency. It's a law enforcement emergency, and it's a public health emergency. And you talked about a correlation between an economic downturn and an uptick in crime is just, it's obvious. So it has to be multi-dimensional. If it's a multi-dimensional problem, which I think it is, it's also got to be a multi-dimensional attack.
Yes.
We have to do a number of things. We've got to make the penalties stricter. This catch and release stuff, no. It might sound brutal, but it has to be done for the health and welfare of all of us. We have a right to be safe in our homes.
Harsh penalty being a deterrent for future crime.
Well, for future crimes,
Yeah.
and also, these people who, for future crimes, and also people who are a danger presently, because they're on the street, they're using the meth, they're stealing your bush cutter, and the rest of it. So if this is a multidimensional problem, it is. We need a multidimensional solution to it, harsher penalties, and I also want to see measures that will help the Guam Police Department, to feel more professional about themselves. I want to increase, I know this sounds like pandering, but these people are not getting paid enough. They're just not.
Okay, we got to wrap.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, sorry.
What's interesting here?
Well, we got to wrap up because we're running out of time. So, but I want to go to the next question. Sorry about that, Chris. So this this next video question comes from Rodney Taitano.
My name is Rodney Taitano. I run the youth shop for my dad, the master carver Robert P. Taitano. And I'm returning from Guam after a 10-year sentence in the feds. I want to know, even if I can't vote, I do have a big influence on people and their ideas about our legislature. And I want to know which candidates are going to do something for ex-felons like me and help us get reacquainted into society.
All right, Chris, Rodney, very, very forthright about his own experience, but saying, what will you do to prevent people that commit crimes and then are incarcerated from going back into the system?
Right. I mean, the recidivism rate is so high, and I think a big part of that is because we don't have these programs in place, and we don't have programs in place that meet the demand. I mean, we've got a lot of people going into jail, and we've got just as many coming out. So I think that we really need to look at these programs that we're offering, not just for people who were incarcerated, but just for the general public as well. I know our colleagues, your colleagues in the media, talked about some of these apprenticeship programs and these things that are offered to people. They go in and sit in a class, and there's 2 people in there, they cancel the class. So I think our government's got to do a better job of not just providing these opportunities, but providing them in a meaningful way and in a way that meets the demand. And if people aren't showing up, then maybe we got to advertise a little more, or just get the word out more, so people like Rodney don't turn back to the ways of life that led them to get thrown in the slammer in the first place. And I think that's really important, is that we don't want to turn the page on anyone who's paid their debt to society. And I think that our people deserve better, and we definitely need improvements in those areas.
Okay, Monty, your thoughts on possible opportunities for people that have served their time and are now trying to reassimilate into society?
Well, I talked to a lot of them, and they've mentioned their difficulty is getting a job. They can't go and find a job like everybody else because they've got a mark on their history. And so maybe there's a way that we can incentivize to our private sector to provide jobs and opportunities for these individuals, and give them the skill set so that they can go and fill these positions that are actually really hard to fill, or they're having a difficulty hiring people nowadays. So perhaps there's a way that we can work with the private sector in providing jobs for these individuals, but at the same time, until they get on their feet, give them some sort of hand up. They need the ability to provide for themselves insofar as food and shelter. They need to provide for their family if they have one, and food stamps and whatever sustenance is needed in the time being until they're able to get a job and fill those positions.
Good choice of words, Monica, because I know that was kind of like a theme that the Department of Labor said when the PUA program was around during the pandemic. They said this is not a hand out, it's a hand up. We're trying to make you help yourself. All right. And Tom, your thoughts, because you were sharing previously about harsher penalties for criminals, but for those that have already served the time, now what opportunities do you propose giving them when they're trying to get back to life?
Okay. The gentleman's name is Rodney?
Rodney Taijeron.
Rodney Taijeron.
Yes, sir.
I guess he's not up on the screen anymore, but Mr. Taijeron, I'd like to congratulate you for coming home, and congratulate you for paying your penalty and coming back. And it's clear to me that if you're calling into a show like this, that you want to be engaged in the community. And I think that's a tremendous first, second, or third step. So congratulations to you. One of the things that I've been saying during the campaign is we want the seats at the University of Guam to be filled. We do not want the cells at the prison to be full.
Right.
So one of the things that we got to do, I mean, we have to give people these tools, and one of those tools is education. So to the extent we can, and to the extent the individuals want it, we should be providing education to make them hireable, to make them feel invested in the community. That's an important part. A few minutes ago I was talking about when I first came to Guam, 30 years ago, you never saw people homeless on the street, and now you see it a lot. It's just an example of the wear that the society is experiencing because of crime, because of the pandemic, et cetera, and so forth. So again, multidimensional. These folks, welcome home. We welcome you into the community, and we want to help you.
There we go. Okay, our third and final question. I'm going to sneak one more video question in. This one comes from someone who all three of you may know. This is Senor John Uggan down from Valley of the Lati. So here is John's video question.
Hoy, dan half a day, na ano si John Raymond Napati Agun Toto Talapofu. What are your plans? Since you're going to be in there for another 2 years, another 4 years, what are your plans to better the lifestyle of our people in Tautau? Because we are suffering to the point that it is very difficult just to breathe here on our island.
All right, as always, just modesty to Uncle John. All right, Chris Barnett, your thoughts on improving the quality of life. Now, for this round, because we just snuck that last question in, each of you has 30 seconds, just so we can get this one in. So real quick, Chris.
Well, I think we're looking at a time where our government has $1 billion budget. We've got a record surplus, but take a look around you. The schools are falling apart. The hospitals falling apart. Public safety is an absolute wreck. So I think we improve quality of life for our people by forcing the government to do its job. Mana talks about people stepping up. We're doing neighborhood watches. We're playing the role of police because our government is falling short in protecting the public. So I think that's the first thing first, is that government has to do its job. I mean, providing the basics shouldn't be a brain surgery, and we've failed at that. Every election, it's the same old thing we're talking about. To borrow a phrase from Tom, if you want different, you got to vote different. And I think that this election, the people are going to speak very loudly about the change that they want to bring into the legislature.
There you go. All right, Mana, 30 seconds for improving the quality of life.
It all goes back to the economy. When you have a vibrant, robust economy, we're able to afford more things. We can provide more to our people. We can have a better community and a safer community. And we can create jobs and opportunities for our families and our children as they grow up. We can also entice them to stay on Guam and not leave off island for other opportunities, because everything is here, and it all goes back to a robust and vibrant, strong economy.
All right, Tom, and some of your thoughts, because you've been talking a lot about law enforcement, crime reduction, penalties, and everything like that. How about improving the quality of life for everybody?
Well, right now I'm in the Amen chorus with Chris and Mana. I mean, that's
Amen.
Amen.
What, do you have the high part, or are you a bass?
I'm a bass.
You're a bass.
There,
Okay.
there you go. I mean, they're spot on with this one. You've got to get the economy rolling again. How do you do that? You reduce taxes. And I'm not, it's not the usual thing where we're giving the rich a break or anything. No, I'm talking about reducing the BPT, the business privilege tax. Who's paying the business privilege tax? You folks are. They're adding 4 or 5% tax bill to you. We have to roll that back to get that cash into the economy, to make it easier to hire people, to get people who are suffering, get them up on their feet. And again, with what Chris is saying, $1.2 billion, and we have 2 broken swimming pools. I think that is just an outrage. I mean, that's one up in Dededo. This is fairly new, right?
Yep.
And it's just dry as a bone up there. I don't understand that. I don't understand where the money's going. Are we flushing it down a rat hole? That's one of the things I want to do, is oversight. I think the legislature has not been performing, I know I'm going long here, but the legislature has not been performing their duty to oversee the executive branch.
All right. Well done, Tom. All right. Stay tuned, because lightning round is up next. We will find out more about Chris, Mana, and Tom and their personalities when we come back real quick. All right, welcome back. It is time for lightning round right now, and we have 5 questions. All right, guys. Lightning being the operative word, right? Real quick. All right. Okay. Chris Barnett, what do you do to relieve stress? Keep in mind, this is a family show.
Right. I try and meditate. So, going around the campaign trail, talking to a lot of people, there's always a moment when I end my night where I just kind of lay down and I try and push everything on my mind off to the edges. And it kind of sounds new age vegan, but I push everything in my mind off to the edges until I see the color purple, which I know is a calming color for me. And it's at that point that I'm ready to kind of go off to sleep.
Purple is also very, very regal. All right, woo-sa, woo-sa.
And it's also the gecko's color.
Go
Geckos!
I know.
Viva GW!
Anytime we get a GW grad in, they got to throw purple and gold right at me.
What's this woo-saha thing?
Oh, that was Bad Boys 2. Woo-sa. You center yourself by rubbing your earlobes for some reason.
It tickles.
All right, Mana. Hopefully you have more intellectual ways of relaxing than I do. But what are some of your ways?
I pray a lot. I meditate a lot,
Yes.
And then when that doesn't go for me, play Candy Crush. It distracts my mind completely. I can't tune out into anything except for the little candies.
I have a really hard time with the watermelon for some reason.
There's a watermelon. What do you?
Yeah, well, the big ones are like
It's a high-level Candy
I
Crush
know. I
player.
haven't gotten that.
No,
high.
the Candy Crush.
Flipped it like 5 times.
Yeah.
It's a good distraction. It just kind of takes my mind off of things. If I have anxiety, just play it a little bit.
Very nice. So scripture and video games and everything,
Yeah.
like a winning combination. All right, thank you for sharing. All right, Tom, what do you do to relieve stress besides putting on that incredible, ranching hat and reading law journals?
Oh yeah, reading law journals. Yeah, that's just my
Exciting
Saturday.
guy.
That's my Saturday night.
yeah.
Crack open the Harvard Law.
You know how to party.
Yeah, I do know how to. What do I do? Well, I've got 2 goats, so those are a lot of fun.
Nice.
Miss Lucy and Miss Ethel. Do you know Lucy and Ethel?
names
You get the
are bad.
reference?
Yes, of course.
A lot of people don't get the reference. I Love Lucy.
You guys got to go on YouTube and watch that episode of I Love Lucy when they're making like on the candy, the assembly line.
Yes,
Comedy classics.
Are these like house goats?
No, they're not. Listen, I've got.
Wait, have you ever heard of goat yoga? That is a
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Okay,
yes.
that is a thing. Somebody's got to bring that to Guam.
Right.
Oh.
Well, I just wanted, here's some free advice. Goats are not indoor animals. You want to leave the goats outside.
Yeah.
So to answer Chris's question.
Goat dropping's not the best thing for your shag rug. All right, that's.
No, but they're easy to clean up.
That's really good koddu right now.
All
Makes
right.
me hungry for seaback koddu.
All right. Well, Chris was just talking about GW. GW, a fantastic athletic school. Our next question: what is your favorite sport?
Baseball.
You were a fantastic baseball writer.
I love baseball, since I was young. I never got to play on a team, but, coming from a big family, we always had enough cousins to field a 9 on both sides. And we used to always play ball over there by Boston Gardens baseball field.
Oh, yeah.
I love baseball. I think it's a romantic sport. I love that challenge of a guy or girl trying to throw that ball past someone with a stick who's trying to hit it. I think it's created a lot of great history. And we have such a deep baseball tradition here on Guam. I've been so fortunate to be able to assist and help sponsor baseball tournaments, a few of them, and it's really kind of folded me back into the baseball community, and I love this community of sports in general. We definitely have to do more to support health and sports. We spend the whole pandemic telling everyone how important our health is, and yet we have this situation where people who want to use fields have to basically find a field, or who knows the mayor, or how can we go practice there? So I think there's a lot of improvements we can make when you talk about sports.
Very fittingly, we are in the 7th inning stretch now. So do you still have that Phillies hat you had when you had your PDN column?
I got all my hats, man.
There you go. All right. Mana, what is your favorite sport?
I love running. It's what I do.
I knew you were going to say
Yeah,
that.
I love
That's why
running.
she's running.
Yeah.
Most miles you've ever done in a day?
Shut up, Chris.
In a day, I did a marathon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Full or half?
A full. Honolulu Marathon was my
Wow.
Yeah.
26 miles.
26.2.
26 point. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
The
those tenths of a
the
mile
point, yeah.
really add up.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
That last
All right.
point too.
Tom, you of course went to the great
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Yeah,
University of
the
Kentucky.
University of Kentucky.
Go Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, basketball.
Wildcats. So you are a big basketball fan.
Well, I wouldn't say a big basketball, but I've always liked college sports because there's so much spirit in it, and it doesn't have all that money. Well, now it does, but it didn't used to have all that money washing over it.
That's very true.
So it just seems pure, and you're dealing with kids who are really just fighting with their heart. They're not out there, trying to make a buck
Right.
or whatever. And then, Mana, you were talking about doing a marathon. I hate running, just hate it. But
All right,
I
okay.
went to South Africa with this lady, and she ran an ultra marathon.
Oh my gosh.
52 miles.
Wow.
It was
I'll tell you what.
insane.
Wow.
Before we run out of time, I got one final question. All I need is one word, right? Last movie you watched, Chris. Not your favorite, but the last movie you watched.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Nice. Mana?
Oh gosh, come back to me. I don't know.
Was it on Netflix?
Yeah. I don't remember the name of it.
That one movie with that
Animated?
No,
Rom-com?
I can't remember.
Okay, I'll give you 5 more seconds to remember
You
that.
can think about it.
Tom, what's the last movie you watched?
I saw Maverick, Top Gun, which I thought
Very
was
nice.
Well, I thought it was all right, but I never saw the first.
You've earned about 1,000 votes for everybody who's in the Navy
Right
right
on.
there.
But I never saw the first one, so a lot of it I've just.
You've never seen the first one?
Never saw Top Gun.
Wow.
Never did. So a lot of the backstory in Maverick, I guess.
Tom Fisher, your ego's writing checks your body can't cash. That's a line from the movie. That wasn't me. That's a line from the movie.
What's this one?
Woosa. All right, then, Mana.
It was Oma. It was with the gal from Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
Christina, and it was a horror flick.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it
very
wasn't
nice.
it wasn't on Netflix. I think it was on Prime.
Okay.
No,
Very,
it was
very nice.
actually in English, but I think it was a stolen Korean movie.
Very nice. Okay, speaking of movies, you guys, we want to give away some movie tickets. So, as we do every week here, let's bring that up. Here's your weekly movie trivia question. Which Academy Award-winning actress
I got this.
is the star of the new film, The Woman King? I love that title. Guys, don't blurt out loud if you know this, because if you know, please email me. My email address is jason@KUM.com, or you can DM us at KUM News. Who has won the Academy Award-winning actress, and who is in the movie The Woman King? All right, we are out of time, but thank you so much. Daryl-
Viva, number 11, Democrat.
There you
Viva,
go.
si Dios Masi.
Chris Barnett at full volume and always ready to go. Mana, what's your ballot number?
Number 12 on the Republican
Number
side.
And thank you for your time and congratulations once again. And Tom, we close with you.
Well, my number's mighty fine. My number's number 9.
Very nice.
Thank you.
He's also a poet as well as a political candidate. So,
Not a
all
good
right.
one, Not a good one.
So, Tom, Mana, Chris, I'm Jason. Thank you for watching, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Adios.